Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals, Brad Pitt, and Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift. Our user feedback is about our sign-off, and we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories and photos we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 66. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
All right, so we took last week off, and you forgot that we were going to record this week. You thought we were taking 2 weeks off, because I was kind of weird in the last podcast about it, like I was vague. But now I would like to take the last week of September off, so the 27th. We won't have a podcast coming out.
So wait, we are going to record one next week?
Yes, but not the week after that, the last week in September.
Okay.
Let me look at the...
Okay, but when are the Emmys?
The Emmys are the 20th.
So that's not this coming Sunday, the Sunday after.
Yes.
Yeah, primetime Emmys, 20th. So that is 2 Sundays from now. Okay.
Yeah. My son's dad is going to visit for his birthday, so that's why I'm not going to be recording. So we'll see how that goes. But tomorrow's your birthday. You want me to say that?
You have a Virgo sun, and Virgos are awesome.
Oh, they are. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I forgot to send you a card. I'm just telling you that now.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's not like I'm doing some huge thing for my birthday or anything. I'm literally just going to get takeout and watch tennis.
Okay, that's cool. I don't know what else to talk about. I wanted to tell you could take more time off, and you were already like, no. So.
Here's something. I got my flu shot today.
Oh, you got a flu shot?
And it hurts like a son of a bitch.
Oh, that sucks. I should get one soon, because I feel like I will get it if I don't get the shot.
You know, when you're younger, you're like, oh, only old people get flu shots. But and then I kept getting sick every fall and winter, and I was like, well, God damn it, I'm just going to start getting a flu shot. And I didn't get crazy sick at all last fall or winter, so.
Nice. Since we last talked, the news broke that the Sussexes got that huge deal with Netflix. And now that they can pay everything off and make their own way, you would think that the commentators would be happy with that, but of course not.
Nope.
So the deal is thought to be around $100 million. It could be like $150 million. There's probably all these like benchmarks they have to make and like stipulations. But today we heard from one of the co-CEOs of Netflix, Reed Hastings, and he was super excited about it. And he said it's going to be epic. And you can tell that they're so happy to do a deal with them because everyone's going to watch whatever they create.
Right. And in this very particular case, I do think that they are modeling themselves after the Obamas.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the kind of content we can expect from them as well. I think they're going to be executive producing documentaries and docuseries and inspirational stuff about female empowerment. And I think that if they are in front of the camera, it will be a documentary style, like,
interviewing,
you know, Harry and the elephants,
or,
you know, something like that.
I mean, the Obamas won an Oscar. They're going to do a great job. We've seen them. They know these causes in and out. They have a lot of contacts, and they're seasoned at this. They're going to do a great job.
Right. But the British commentary is, well, of course they're going to try to do like The Crown, and it'll be terrible. It'll be awful. We promise.
They're doom and glooming it already. Like, oh, if it's not successful, they'll have egg on their face and all this stuff, and it's ridiculous. And Harry and Meghan paid off the renovations for Frogmore cottage. That was $3.1 million they paid off. And they're mad about that, too.
Yeah. Like, what I keep thinking about is if it costs more than $3 million to just do, like, structural renovations to the cottage, like, how fucking dilapidated was that cottage when the Queen gave it to them?
They had to make Meghan's yoga room with, like, special teak imported from Africa.
Right. Like, don't even joke about that, because people will just jump down your throat.
No, they'll listen to what I say. I mean, at least in the podcast, they listen to us lead up to it. They know we're not mocking her.
$3 million in renovations. And
if I had a house worth like half of that, I'd be super happy.
Right. And like, how fucking crazy, just decrepit was that little cottage?
Yeah.
And it's not very big. It's like maybe 3 bedrooms, I think. 3 or 4 bedrooms. It's insane how much it cost.
So, yeah, they paid it off, and Richard K. wrote this article, like, who somehow spun it into a negative thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, they all did. They all did.
And Richard K. was like, oh, but they kept details about Archie's birth and christening private. It's like when you get in an argument with somebody and they bring up some random other shit that has nothing to do with it. Oh, but you did this.
Well, yeah, like Kay's argument was so convoluted because he was trying to like be shady about so many different things. Like he was making this absurd argument that maybe they didn't really pay it back. You know, maybe they didn't have the money to pay it back.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Dude, they paid it back. I mean, it's flatly, they paid it back. And he's like, but what about the payment plans? You know,
he was like, well, the payment plan would have taken forever. Okay, so they paid it back. Well, that's shady because we don't know all the details of that. They gave him a check. How is that shady?
Yeah, and the other argument that he made about Archie was that even though like royal commentators have been bitching and moaning about the costs of Frogmore, it was always just about how the Sussexes had kept Archie's christening a secret. They didn't even keep it a secret. They just released their own authorized photos and didn't release the names of the godparents. That's it. Basically, the whole thing is they're mad because they don't feel like they own the Sussexes anymore. That's it.
And they wanted all the details about Meghan's birth. And they're still bringing up this old shit. It's ridiculous.
They're so mad. They're so salty.
Yes. Ooh, I got a mug today. It says, don't be a salty bitch. It came in the mail. I'm so happy. So I don't know where to go from there. It's just all criticism of Harry and Meghan. Like, I have a whole list of all the Harry and Meghan criticism. And I liked your title that you did. It said, the Mail is sure that the Sussexes Netflix deal is horrible, but they can't figure out why.
Yeah, because that was the immediate reaction from the Mail. That was their first story right after the Netflix deal was announced. It was, you know, all of these commentators saying, we are absolutely positive that this is just a disaster, but we can't give you any reasons for it. It's just going to be horrible. You just have to trust it.
Yeah, I don't get the arguments against it, but it's kind of funny to see that. And then royal biographer Angela Levin, she wrote that Harry, Conversations with the Prince, she called it the biggest exploitation the royal family that has ever been in our lifetime. Oh, and here's the kicker. I think this was plotted right from the beginning, before the wedding even. Meghan has used the royal family and Harry, blah, blah, blah.
In her wildest dreams, Meghan never would have imagined this for her reality. Like 3 years after meeting Harry, or however, like 4 years after meeting Harry, she would never think, oh, I'm going to whisk him away to LA and we're going to start a production company. That's not what she wanted.
No, she was...
She wanted
to figure it out.
She wanted to be a princess. Yeah, she wanted to be a princess. She wanted to live in England and be the next Diana. That's what she wanted to be.
She wanted to figure that shit out and do what they wanted her to do, but also do her own projects and interests on a level that was acceptable to them. And she tried really hard.
What Meghan and Harry did not expect, what they did not plan for, was Kate and William being massive bitches and being jealous as hell and just freaking the fuck out and smearing them.
Courtiers.
That's what they didn't expect.
The courtiers doing that too. So there were all these related stories. I don't know what we should recap. We don't need to.
Yeah, we don't need to recap. We were talking in our document about how Katie Nicole was trying to make it sound so sad sack that Frogmore cottage is sitting there abandoned with all of their artwork, expensive artwork. Everything has to be expensive for the Sussexes.
Yeah.
It's all under dust covers. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if they're like, we're just going to keep Frogmore cottage like that forever now because we paid for it. And they could, but the Queen could technically take Frogmore cottage away from them.
Oh.
I mean, it's a crown property. And she could say, well, you know what? If you're not going to use it, I'm going to give it to Beatrice and Ito. I don't think that she would do that.
Especially after they paid for it.
But she could. Yeah. I mean, they paid for the renovations, but it was always a rental for them. It was always a lease.
Okay. And then there was that story that there's a Tory MP named Harry Smith who shared this stupid letter from a constituent, I guess, asking them to strip the Sussexes of their titles. Why do they need to do that? Mm-hmm. There's no reason to do that.
It's one of Piers Morgan's little pet issues, is that they shouldn't have the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the title Sussex. I'm trusting the British people, like the British people who comment, that it can't just be done with like a wave of a wand. It has to be through Parliament. The Queen has to approve it. All this stuff has to happen. And I just don't think that anyone would really want to go down that road.
Yeah. But I think it's just like the conservatives on Fox News throwing out ridiculous shit to rile up the racist people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's Piers Morgan in a nutshell.
Yeah. So you found a kind of exclusive.
Well, all right. So it was an exclusive 2 hours ago, but as I was getting ready, I saw that a bunch of people were talking about it on Twitter, so it's not really an exclusive anymore.
Okay.
And my thing that I thought was so special is not.
Okay.
All right, so here it is. So Newsweek published a story about the Tatler Catherine the Great cover story, which happened in May, and it was a huge debacle in May, and we talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
It was written with the Kensington Palace approval, but the author, Anna Pasternak, she went off and did her own research and talked to people that were unauthorized, and she ended up writing this really shady, absolutely horrible piece for Kate. And that was like the top CEO quotes, and then she works herself to the bone, and she does it all without taking 1 million vacations. Poor Kate. That whole narrative.
Yeah.
And so Newsweek said, months later, what's happened with that thing? Because the palace threatened to sue. And did the palace actually sue? And Newsweek says, actually, the palace didn't even formally complain about the Tatler article.
Ooh.
But very quietly, at some point, the palace got Tatler to take out one paragraph.
Okay.
And they said they left everything else online. And so I went through the Tatler piece online, and I went through our archives to find out which paragraph was taken out, and I found it. And would you like to hear it?
Sure.
All right, here it is. Then there's Kate's turnip-toff crowd, the Norfolk Sloanes, including Sophie Carter and Robert Snuggs, who lived near Ameerah Hall, and the Cambridge's glamorous Houghton Hall neighbors, Rose Hanbury and her husband, the Marquis of Cholmondeley, with whom there's an alleged falling out last year over Rose's apparent closeness to William. The whole of Norfolk was agog, and the story spilled over into the newspapers. No party has commented publicly on the matter. That's what got deleted.
So the part
about Rose Hanbury.
Yes, the affair stuff. And that's what William wanted to keep off the internet from the beginning.
Right. So the palace managed to get this one paragraph taken out, and they left all the shady shit about Kate in. They left in the part where William is obsessed with Carol Middleton, but they took this out.
So who is calling the shots? It's William's people. William's running his side because he doesn't care if Kate gets thrown under the bus.
I mean, it's either William had it removed because that was the thing that bothered him the most, or it's what I always kind of thought, which was that the whole Tatler piece was the revenge of Rose Hanbury and the Toffs.
And they didn't want to reveal their source.
Right.
Yeah. That's some good dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kate dared to cut them off, or she tried to cut them off, and she can't because she doesn't have the power despite her station in life.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing was Kate is dreadfully middle class.
Yeah, they talked about her mom's design on her house and everything. And how her mom bosses the workers around. Nobody likes her mom.
Uh-huh. That whole thing is very fascinating to me. How that one paragraph got taken out and it's all very quiet. And William is better at having affairs than his father.
Is he now? I mean, we had a different press system back then, but his dad didn't get so thoroughly busted, did he?
Yeah, like Charles, everyone in the aristocracy knew that Charles and Camilla were screwing around. I mean, the entire time. But Diana was the squeaky wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Diana wasn't with the program. Kate is with the program.
Yeah,
Kate's going to help her husband keep everything low key.
Like all the work he's doing behind the scenes that they're keeping quiet about. So let's talk about Brad Pitt. We haven't talked about this yet. This story's been going on for a while and it's so fucking stupid. He's 50.
It's amazing.
It's funny. He's 56. He's dating a 27-year-old German model named Nicole Poturalski, or Nico Mary. And he rolled her out in the celebrity press like he was super proud to be with her. And she's this millennial thirsty Instagrammer. Like, she's constantly posting selfies. She's not even verified on Instagram, so she's like a try hard. It's hard to get verified on Instagram, but still. And then after we heard about her, then we heard she's married to a 68-year-old guy. He's a restaurateur. And she's in an open marriage with him. And he introduced her to Pitt. And she's got a child with this guy. And she might have had him when she was much younger and still of age. But it's all very shady and weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to think that, it wasn't two old guys passing around this 27-year-old woman. I think it was that Brad and Nico were hooking up and he was like, all right, well, she's beautiful and she's young and I'm going to look like a stud when people find out. And then his people didn't do their research on her. No. They didn't do a background check on her. And she's like this crazy, thirsty, like wannabe Instagram influencer. And she's hustling him. She's hustling her husband and she's hustling Brad Pitt. Yeah. And it's amazing.
She's following like fan accounts that are comparing her to Angelina Jolie. She keeps posting selfies. It's a lot. And then she went with, Brad took her to Chateau Miraval on his anniversary with Angelina Jolie. And he married her at that place. And it was like a super obvious dig at Angelina, as are all the other stupid stories he's linking. Oh, Angelina's jealous, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, the judge on their divorce, which is never ending, needs to recuse himself because he's in cahoots with Brad's lawyers. So he's just trying to change the narrative.
Right.
And it's failing.
Yeah, he wants to change the narrative away from the divorce saga. He wants to change the narrative away from the fact that he built all of these horrible, dysfunctional homes in New Orleans as well. Yeah. But mostly, I think he just wanted to look like a stud. He was like, no, the time is right for me to introduce a new girlfriend. And I'm going to do a huge rollout for her. And it's going to be like Mary Oxman, only she's, like a hot young thing.
Yeah. And so now the next thing they're doing, because it's blowing up in their face, is they're saying that it's just casual, which you predicted, and it is predictable. And there's a story in Us magazine that Brad thinks Nicole is beautiful and kind. The source says he has absolutely no plans nor any desire to ever get married again. Brad doesn't want a girlfriend that he's with every day. Okay. So
what a catch. Yeah. A 56-year-old man with commitment issues and a history of substance abuse. He doesn't want a girlfriend every day,
We should understand that because he's such a hot catch. So we talked about this on Zoom. So here's a segment from Zoom where Karen and Zakiya clown on Brad. He deserves it.
Well, I don't know if it was his attempt to try to change the subject with the whole shady stuff with the judge and all that. And again, why this judge hasn't recused themselves, and they kept saying, well, I'll be fair. Well, you can't be fair, especially if you're, doing side businesses with his attorney. So I don't know if he was just trying to distract from that conversation. And I saw the jokes how his team didn't vet this girl. the girlfriend rollout didn't go like he planned. And so now they're trying to go, oh, it's just casual and, it's so new. And so it just looks really like two old men talking about, yeah, you can sleep with her. I mean, I don't really care. We have an open marriage. It's really creepy.
But that's so how out of touch they are to think that this would have come off looking good. Like, how did your team or you think that this was going to go well, that people like, ooh, look at him, where instead we're like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, they're thinking this makes him look good. It does not.
Right. Like I said, it's very old media.
Yeah. He's old. It's old. He looks old.
The whole thing has been very old media. Like, his campaign against Angelina has been old media, too. Like, leaking shit to Page 6.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me? You're still doing that?
It's very transparent. It's very, very transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Brad Pitt and Nico marry. I hope she gets him on Instagram, though, somehow, before this ends. This would be good. She needs to, like, post a story with him or something with his hand in it or some shit, where you can see his tattoo.
I respect the hell out of her hustle. Like, I mean, she's a wannabe, whatever. She is grasping this thing with both hands.
She might as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she obviously doesn't, like, give a shit. She's associated with Brad Pitt now. It's going to last for months, and she's going to milk it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Make him look like an old fool.
Yeah, she should. Make a name for herself. This will last. Maybe she'll get her blue check on Instagram. She'll make some money selling some diet tea or something.
Yeah, and maybe at the end of the day, he'll pay her to go away.
Yeah, that's Ben Affleck's MO, too, is to pay him to go away.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Ben Affleck, I probably did that on purpose. On Zoom, we were talking about Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas, and Rhiannon, who loves Ben Affleck, she was like, well, they're not fake like Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston. And of course, that set off a whole thing, and everyone's like, no, Tiddles was real. So this was just this tangent we went on that was hilarious, and I wanted to play that segment from Zoom because I thought you guys would enjoy it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We've all seen, the setups or whatever, the faux relationships, like the Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston, debacle. But this is just, this is even too much for Ben.
Tiddles Swift was real.
Tiddles was real, and she screwed him up, and he's been broken ever since.
So you're telling me Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston were real?
They were real.
Yes,
they were real. They were just idiots.
Yeah.
He's such a sweet, earnest man. Like, I keep thinking about
a sweet, earnest man would not date Taylor Swift.
I keep thinking about how she kept talking about that one interview where he was quoting Shakespeare to ducks, and he just wants to make you his beef bolognese and stuff, and I'm just like, this poor man was probably too much even for Taylor Swift.
Amber says in the chat that Getaway Car is about Tom Hiddleston. I don't know all her music, but
it's also one of the only good songs on that album, in my opinion, because that album was terrible. But yeah, it was basically, she talks about using him as a jump off for Calvin Harris, a guy so forgettable, I sometimes call him Blake Lively in my head. He deserved to be used and abused. He's a moron, but she did that to Tom Hiddleston instead.
So yeah, Tiddles was real.
Yeah. Tiddles was real in the sense that I think they were authentically really dating, and that Tom honestly cared about her. I think they were real in that sense. I think she used him.
Yeah, that's what everyone was saying.
I don't think she loved him.
No.
I think she used him as the getaway car, as they said. And I think he was the jump off, and then she met Joe Alwyn and whatever. But I think Tiddles, he was really fucked up about all of that for a solid year
It didn't just screw him up as a relationship. It screwed up his career, too, because he got so connected with Taylor Swift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and he didn't help himself out because he went to GQ and he dumped. Yeah, well, that too. But he went to GQ months after the breakup, and he dumped out his purse, and he was almost crying about it to the reporter, and it was bad. It was just a bad look. Poor Tom.
I will link that story. I'll find that and put that in the post for this. But yeah, poor Tom. He has that new girlfriend, Zoe Ashton, and they seem like they're doing okay.
They've been together for about a year and a half. They said that he was living with her in Atlanta, too.
Oh, nice. Okay, because they were working down there. All right, let's move on to the user feedback. Darla commented on our podcast post, "Great podcast. I skipped the royal stuff, but loved the RNC talk and Falwell." That was when we were making fun of Falwell. I also love how you sign off. I agree. And Wildwaffles replied to that, "I love how Kaiser says it so gently and sweetly, like how my mom would say sweet dreams as she was closing the bedroom door." Yep, I still am self-conscious saying it, but more things happen, the more my convictions are that I should say it.
Yep. All right, so do you want me to do my comment of the week first?
Okay, sure.
All right. All right, mine are from the how in the world did Donald Trump's campaign already spend $800 million? How? How did they do it? And as I said in the post, I think it was mostly through cocaine and embezzlement. And everyone else agrees. And so Lascivious Chicken says it all went straight up Don Jr.'s nose, which is great. It's very true, I think. Yeah. And then CE said, say it with me now, he is embezzling money. Suddenly he's going to spend his own money on campaign promotion. Interesting. What a grifter. Lock him up.
He needs to also be locked up for using the Department of Justice to defend himself against a civil suit. I mean, come on.
He needs to also be locked up for human trafficking.
And for interfering in the election.
Rape and sexual abuse and treason.
Yeah.
And
I'll take a technicality, though. Anything they could get him on. So my comment of the week is on your story, and I left mine till the end because I thought you were going to find this one because this one was hilarious. It's on Carrie Walsh Jennings, the Olympic, what does she do? Volleyball player.
Beach volleyball.
Yeah, you covered that. You were going off on her, which was funny. She was like having some anti-masker argument, which made no sense. Like those people normally make no sense.
She was super churchy and patronizing about it too. Oh.
Yeah, she's an idiot. So Ezer said, "Real talk, the mask would improve things for her. She should embrace it."
That's
funny. I mean, okay. I think when somebody is terrible like that, you could be like, yeah, they could wear a mask and improve things. It's subtle shade, right? So Darla said, my comment of the week's from Ezer, but Darla responded to that, and she said, "I tried to say this in a sneaky way because I didn't want to get grief, but yeah, you nailed it." I don't think she's unattractive. I just think that's what you say when someone is such an asshole. You know, you can...
Yeah, like, but I mean, it hurts because I really loved her when she was like doing the Olympics. I was obsessed with Carrie and Misty May Trainer. Like, I thought they were the coolest Olympians ever. And now to find out that she's this absolutely bonkers anti-mask person is devastating.
So
it's really horrible.
So Tanisha Oya, she's been traveling for like a few years and she hasn't kept up with all the celebrity gossip. And she keeps saying, "Oh, I love this person." And I'm like, "Oh, actually, that person did this and that." And she's like, "Oh, no, stop it." And then the other day, she's like, "Is Keanu okay? Did he do anything bad?" I'm like, "Keanu is fine." She's like, "Thank God." There's a bunch of celebrities I had to tell her about. And she's like, "No."
I felt the same way because I mentioned Matt Dillon and Kate Blanchett in Venice.
Oh yeah,
Post.
You're like, "Don't anybody tell me anything bad."
Because I didn't want to look it up because I was like, no, Matt Dillon, I'm sure he's unproblematic. I'm not going to look it up. I just hope everyone likes him.
I was ready for you to tell a story that he did something.
I hope he's not like that. I hope he's not terrible.
So many of them are. And that's the big thing with our job. Like, you report on somebody. There's like a bunch of people you can't report on because everyone's like, "Well, I hate this and that about them." And, and then you're like, okay, can we just talk about her outfit or the things she said, you know?
Oh, yeah. There are a bunch of people like that. We're like, yeah, we know that she's terrible, but I really wanted to talk about her dress.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to make stories every day. We can't avoid everybody who's a complete asshole, you know. All right. Thanks for listening, bitches, and fuck the police.
Thanks, bitches. Fuck the police.
You said it all sing-song. Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again. Okay, happy birthday.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.